Welcome to Less Than 12 Parsecs, the fastest Star Wars podcast in the galaxy. Now here's your host, Tim McMahon.
Hey, it's Tim. So all day today, I could not think of anything new about Star Wars. Nothing new popped into my head, nothing I saw online grabbed my attention, so I thought, okay, there's not going to be any episodes today. 2 days in a row, I wasn't happy about it, but that's the way it was. But with only 90 minutes left in the day, something just came into my mind. Instead of talking about something new, I'm going to talk about something old. One of my favorite things to do when I meet other hardcore Star Wars fans is to ask about how they first fell in love with Star Wars. In fact, back on my old podcast, the Expanded Fandomverse, Jason Collier and I would always ask our guests the same question. What is your Star Wars origin story? How did you first fall in love with that galaxy far, far away? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you guys the story of how I first saw Star Wars, and then maybe in another episode I'll do Empire and Jedi and so on and so on. But I just don't want to tell you my story. I want to hear yours. Email me at 12parsecspodcast@gmail.com or connect with me on any of my social media links, which can be found on 12parsecspodcast.com. So here's my story. As you know, I'm an original trilogy generation guy, so the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope, back when it was just Star Wars, rolled around in 1977. I was only 5 years old. My mom at the time, I remember her being very tuned into pop culture, and she knew this movie was a hit, and she knew I would like it. I can remember her telling me, hey, it's got spaceships and robots and sword fights, and you're gonna love it. And it did sound like something I would like. But here's the deal. She asked me if I wanted to go. She asked me. She didn't say, hey, I'm taking you to the movies. She said, do you want to go to the movies? Normally I would have said yes, but she was going to the movies with her friend who had 3 daughters, 3 girl daughters. As a 5-year-old, girls were yucky, and I declined the invitation. Little did I know on what I was missing out on, meaning Star Wars and girls, but that's another story. Anyway, my mom came home, she said it was great, she told me I would have liked it, but that was it. End of story. We weren't the type of family to go to movies more than once. So that was 1977. Skip ahead a year, I'm going into first grade, and suddenly all the kids at school are talking about Star Wars, and I don't know what's going on. I think this was my first taste of peer pressure, or that fear of being left out, of not being part of the zeitgeist. Anyway, I go home, and I beg my mom, please, 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 can we go see Star Wars? Eventually, she said yes. Now keep in mind, this is almost a year and a half after Star Wars had been out. That doesn't happen nowadays, but back then, movies stuck around a lot longer, especially a big hit like this, it came back. And so I think technically at this point it was Star Wars A New Hope. My memory of seeing it the first time, actually after seeing it the first time, leaving the theater, was that there was snow on the ground. It was the first big snowstorm of the year. So that gives you an idea of how late it was in the year. So the film itself. The memory that stands out the most to me is when the Death Star blew up. I could just remember the whole theater rattling. Just being inside the bass stereo speaker. I know it wasn't a thing, but it felt like the speaker was under the seat and I was just blown away with the explosion. It probably wasn't that big, but that was my 6-year-old memory of it. And yes, I did love the film. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah, I did. So another early memory of Star Wars, which is kind of related, was the toys. Every original trilogy guy has stories about the toys and growing up with them. So Christmas rolls around, it's 1978. All I wanted was Star Wars toys. There were a few under the Christmas tree for me, but not a lot. But then, later in the day, my grandparents came. Now my grandmother always got us clothes. She got us great clothes. It's kind of weird to say, but I always looked forward to the clothes my grandmother got. She would get rugby shirts and awesome sweaters, and I know it's weird for a little kid to say that, but yeah, I loved the clothes my grandmother got me. So all the boxes are the same. They're those classic, you know it's clothes inside the wrapping paper Christmas boxes. Until I get to the last one. And it feels different when I pick it up. And I shake it. It sounds different. This is definitely not a new rugby shirt. This is definitely not a new sweater. And I open it up, and I swear to God, it was every Star Wars action figure out at that point. They were all there in one box. And man, oh man, did that blow my mind. I hit the jackpot. To this day, I still think that was the best Christmas ever. So anyway, there you go. That's my story of how I first saw Star Wars. I nearly missed out, But thankfully, I jumped on the bandwagon a year later, and then I really lucked out a few weeks later when Christmas rolled around. So that's my story. Like I said, I want to hear yours. Email me at 12parsecspodcast@gmail.com or connect with me on any of my social media links. You can find all of those on my website, 12parsecspodcast.com. Thanks for listening. Utini!
Utini!
You've been listening to Less Than 12 Parsecs, the fastest Star Wars podcast in the galaxy, part of the Expanded Fandomverse network of shows. For links and show notes, visit our website, 12parsecpodcast.com. Follow Less Than 12 Parsecs on Twitter at 12parpod, on Instagram at 12 Parsecs Podcast, on Tumblr at 12 Parsecs Podcast, and find us on Facebook as well. And please let us know what you think. Email us at 12parsecspodcast@gmail.com. Utini!
P.S. Don't forget, you can win a handcrafted sleep mask that's styled after Kanan's mask, the one he wears in Rebels. It was handcrafted by Ash from the Skyhoppers podcast, and it can be yours when you simply post a sleep-themed Star Wars photo on Twitter. Use the hashtag SleepyStarWars and tag at 12parpod and at SWSkyhoppers. What's a sleep-themed photo? Well, let's see your favorite Star Wars pajamas, or your bed with the Star Wars sheets, pillows, and blankets. Or maybe it's a photo of you snuggled up with your favorite Star Wars plush toy in a bedtime storybook, or anything you can come up with. You have until February 28th to enter, then we'll pull a name from random. Good luck and may the Force be with you.